so we know that the study will read out next year. It's a big step. It's a huge study. All in all, 2,200 patients, that's a number. But it's a huge indication. There's a huge unmet medical need. And I think patients deserve new treatment options. And with this, I think we come a very significant step closer to the readouts.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Immunic CEO, Dr. Daniel Vitt. Daniel, very good to speak with you. You're after your second quarter results. One of the highlights is the promising results of your phase 2 CALLIPER trial of vidofludimus calcium. Can you remind us about that?
Yeah, hi, good morning. Happy to be here today. Yeah, I think it was a busy quarter, and as you said, one of the most important things was the readout of our CALLIPER study. And this goes back years ago when we thought, how can we analyze the neuroprotective effect of vidofludimus calcium in patients, and specifically addressing the unmet need of patients with progressive forms of multiple sclerosis. We initiated the CALLIPER study, and we are very pleased to see that with this study we have achieved a very profound reduction, numerical reduction of disability progression in these patients. So overall in this study, we have seen a 24% reduction of disability progression, of 24-week confirmed disability progression, and the full ITT set of the study. And what also I like specifically is that more than 30% of the patients with primary progressive MS also had a lower risk reduction. So I think that basically confirms the mode of action of the drug and underlining the ability of vidofludimus calcium to slow down progression in MS patients.
Daniel, what does this data mean for vidofludimus calcium and MS overall?
Yeah, as I said, it is important everywhere in multiple sclerosis. We need to stop progression. This is the key unmet medical need in these patients. And therefore, I think the CALLIPER data, as I said, is important for primary progressive, secondary progressive MS, but also for relapsing MS, where we have the phase 3 studies ongoing, the ENSURE studies. Also, these patients will benefit from the neuroprotective features of vidofludimus calcium.
You mentioned the phase 3 ENSURE trials. I mean, you completed enrollment for both trials of vidofludimus calcium in relapsing MS. What's the latest there, Daniel?
Yeah, also a big milestone in the quarter. So we finally made it and fully enrolled the study. So we had 1,100 and 1,121 patients in the two ENSURE studies, respectively. So they are twin studies, now fully enrolled. So we know that the study will read out next year. It's a big step. It's a huge study. All in all, 2,200 patients, that's a number. But it's a huge indication. There's a huge unmet medical need. And I think patients deserve new treatment options. And with this, I think we come a very significant step closer to the readouts.
Moving on to the phase 2 EMPhASIS trial, you released new data in June. Can you recap what that revealed?
That also points to the same thing as the results of the CALLIPER study. So the question is always, to what extent can we protect patients from disability progression? And the good thing is that we were able to follow up patients from the EMPhASIS study, which is years ago when we completed the study, and now some patients are already now on treatment for more than 5 years in the open label extension part of the study. So these patients receive 30 milligrams of vidofludimus calcium for quite a long time. And I think the good thing here is that we learned that really more than 90% of the patients after 144 weeks of treatment are free of disability progression, which, looking back on historic trial and comparisons of other molecules, really makes it a very good activity, very convincing activity. And also the patients seem to like the drug, so a lot of patients staying on the treatment here. So the treatment discontinuation rate is really, really low. So we think that speaks also for the quality of the program and also for the perceived quality of the treatment from the patient's point of view.
Another highlight of the quarter, Daniel, you strengthened your balance sheet with two financings. So you are well positioned to take those trials forward, aren't you?
Absolutely. And I think in this market environment these days, it's a big success to convince investors to support the company, to believe in the Caliper data and believe in ENSURE data, which we're generating, and the ability of us to bring that to the finish line, either alone or with a partner. And I think this capital raise was important to bring us in that situation, to be able to go forward with these developments, specifically in completion of the phase 3 studies in relapsing MS.
Daniel, I hope you'll continue to keep us updated on your progress. Thank you very much for taking the time today.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Thank you, Stephen.
So you're welcome, Dr. Daniel Witz, the CEO of Immunic.